Good morning, Year 7. So welcome to your 20 question solutions video for this week. We'll just go through the answers, make sure you mark them as you go along and give yourself a mark out of 20. So for the first one, nice and simple, we've got the same denominator here. So when we're adding fractions, all we've got to do is add the numerators if the denominators are the same, okay? So we've done way more complicated ones than these in class. So our answer here, 8 plus 1 is 9, so our answer here is just 9 over 10. Second one, again, we've got the same denominator, so we don't need to do anything to the denominator. We're just going to have to take away the top numbers. So we need to do 4 minus 3 equals 1 and over 9 because our denominator is the same. So we've got 1/9 there. So next one, we've got 580,000 divided by 1,000. Okay, so the way we do this, we can't have any, so 1,000 has 3 zeros, so that means we've got to take this back 3 decimal places. So we go back 1, 2, 3, so we take off 3 zeros from, that is 58,000, not 580,000, so it's 58,000 divided by 1,000. So as I said, we've got 3 zeros here, so we're going to take it back 3 decimal places, which is the same as taking off 3 zeros. So our answer here is 58. Next one, we've got 6,650 divided by 10. So this time we've only got 1 0, so we're just going to take it back 1 decimal place, okay? So that means we take off 1 of those zeros, so that means we're left with 665. Next one says, complete 34.3 metres into centimetres. So, as I've told you, 1 metre equals 100 centimetres, okay? So if 1 metre equals 100 centimetres, I've got 34.3 metres. So if I do 34 metres, I've times my metres by 34. So I need to do the same to my centimetres. So that means I've got 2 zeros here, so I'm going to write down my 34 and I'm going to add my zeros. So that means I've got 3,400 centimetres for 34 metres, but I've still got my 0.3, so my 0.3 of a metre. So now, if we think of a metre having 100 centimetres, and then we want 0.3 of it, that would be 30 centimetres, okay? So I just add those two together, and that means I would have 3,430 centimetres, okay? Next one says complete 80 millimetres equals how many centimetres? So if I told you there are 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre, to get to 80 millimetres, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to times that by 8. So that'll get me to 80 millimetres. And I'm going to do the same to the other side, just like I do on all my fractions and ratios, and I get 8 centimetres. Okay, so there's your answer. 80 millimetres equals 8 centimetres. Next one then, write in figures 6 units, 3 tenths and 2 hundredths. So remember, units, they're just like 0 through 9. So we'll have our 6 here. And then I know I've got 3 tenths, okay, not tens, but tenths. So that means I'm going to have a decimal point, and then I've got my 3. Okay, so 0.3 is my tenths column, and then I've got 2 hundredths. Okay, so that's where that one goes. Next one says, write in figures 22,000, 3 tens, and 5 units. So I've got 22 thousands, but what comes after thousands is hundreds. Do we have any hundreds? No, we don't have any, so we're going to put a 0. After hundreds comes tens, and we do have tens. We've got 3 of them, so we're going to write that one next. And finally comes our units, and we've got 5 of those. Okay, so that reads 22,000, 3 tens, and 5 units. Okay, so we should have 22,035 as our answer. Next one, find the missing number. Something divided by 3 equals 3. Now these were like our function machines that we did in class. So remember, we take our symbol and we just do the opposite backwards, okay? So if it says something divided by 3, we're going to do times, okay? So we're going to do 3 times 3, and that equals 9. And then we're going to test it. So we write 9 where our question mark would have been, and then we'll say divided by 3 equals 3. Now, is that true? Is 9 divided by 3 3? Yes, it is, so we know that that's correct. Next one then. Here we've got a minus instead. So this time we're going to add. So we're going to do 8 and we're going to add our 3, okay? So 8 plus 3 is 11. We're going to write that where the question mark is, and then we're going to write the rest of it. So 11 minus 3 equals 8. Now, is that correct? Let's check. 11 minus 3 is indeed 8, so we know that the question mark is 11. Perfect. So the next one is just some subtraction, okay? So we've got 9. Oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's not good, is it? And what's happened there? So we've got 9,988, and we're taking away 1,624. So we must remember to write them directly below each other to help us out, okay? So we're going to do 4 from 8 is 4, 2 from 8 is 6, 6 from 9 is 3, 1 from 9 is 8. Okay, so we should have 8,364 for that one. Got another subtraction here, but here, if you notice, we've got 15,491, take away 4,214. So we've got an extra digit. So remember, we've got to be really careful when we write these out, that we've put the correct numbers under one another. So we've got 4,214 here, okay? And I think this one's going to involve some carrying. So we can't do 4 from 1, can we? That's not a thing. So we're going to have to cross out our 9 here. And we're going to replace that with an 8. And we're going to put our little 1 here because we've carried the 1 over. So now it says 11. So 11 minus 4 is 7. So we can write that here. Now we can take away 1 from 8 because that equals 7. So that's good, isn't it? And we can take away 2 from 4 because that equals 2. We can take away 4 from 5, which is 1. And we've got to imagine there's a 0 there, and so 0 from 1 is 1, okay? So that leaves us with 11,277 as our answer. Next one then says complete the equivalent fraction. So we've got to figure out how did we get from 3 to 21? What did we times that by? So we would have times 3 by 7. So if we times the top by 7, we're going to have to do the same to the bottom. So what is 7 times 7? That's 49, okay? So we should have 21 over 49. And we're going to do the same here, but this time our denominator is the same, okay? So we've got to ask ourselves, how did we get from 8 to 40? Now in this case, to get from 8 to 40, we timesed it by 5, okay? So if we times the bottom by 5, we've got to do the same to the top. So we're going to do 3 times 5, which is 15. So remember, equivalent just means like the same, okay? So 3 over 8 is the same as 15 over 40, and 3 over 7 is the same as 21 over 49. Now, if you remember, these are our crocodiles, so we've got one facing this way and one facing this way. So we're going to write our numbers out. We've got 0 and we've got minus 1. Now you have to remember, the big end points towards the bigger number, okay? So like the crocodile eats the bigger number. So what is bigger, 0 or minus 1? So 0 is bigger, so the crocodile is going to eat the 0. Next one, we've got minus 8. And we've got minus 16. So again, we need to figure out which one is bigger. So if we think about where 0 is on our number line, and then we were to count down, so we'd go minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, etc. Okay, so actually, minus 8 is closer to 0 than minus 16. So minus 8 is bigger than minus 16. So that's the way our crocodile would face. Okay, so we've got 70 times 30. So this one's nice and simple. So we can just do, because remember, we can kind of take away the zeros for a second and we'll add them back in at the end. So if we just do 7 times 3, we would get 21, wouldn't we? And then we've just got to add our zeros in. So we've got 2 zeros and we can just pop those on the end there. Okay? So our next one, we can do exactly the same. We've got a 5 and we've got an 8. So 5 times 8 is 40. got our 2 zeros. Can just add